Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion. Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. Last run, you can't rely on that last run as a barometer of where we're at. It was a weird one. It was a very weird one. Oh my god, soy milk. 1 RHF K9RW. Can I tell you, first off, having soy milk means that magic fingers, which is only marginally useful at the best of times, is like quite literally... I mean, I would rather have nothing than the opportunity to accidentally press the spacebar and lose some of our money for no benefit right now. However, I will also say, I think soy milk is going to start out kind of bad, but 0.5 damage actually strikes me as being a pretty okay place as far as soy milk damage goes. The big modifier for us would be to double it. If we can get a cricket's head or a magic mushroom or, you know, something along those lines, I think we got a pretty good thing going. Okay, well, when I said double it, this wasn't what I meant, but it's also great. I'm not sore about it, I'll tell you that much. I'm over the moon. The game has hidden us with some serious meme builds lately, and I'm here for it. We're running out the clock. The DLC will be out eventually. You're watching the Northernlion live podcast. I hope, well, Northernlion recorded podcast, I suppose. I hope you are enjoying the ride. Telepathy is much better, for sure. I think we can be stoked about this. Anyway, today is a Thursday. Trying to think about, oh, you know what? Yes, I mean, we could have a little bit of hockey talk. It's really up to you. And by up to you, I mean you have no choice in it whatsoever. I'm recording this a week and a half ago. Yesterday, the Canucks played the Blackhawks. They retired Daniel and Henrik Sedin's numbers in a tear-jerker ceremony. A lot of fun to watch, and then they put up a 3-0 victory, thanks to a Herculean effort from Jacob Markstrom. I very rarely, like, I watch, people ask me, like, do you watch all the games? Because there are 82 games this season. I don't watch that many, and I didn't go. The reason I didn't go is because tickets were, you know, if we're talking about in Yelp terms, tickets were at $4 signs, which is understandable because it's a one-time event. Plus, it's a Wednesday. You know, I'm more of a, to be honest, I'm a Saturday guy as far as games go. It's already my day off. Tickets tend to be a little bit more expensive because they're higher demand because it's a weekend, but, you know, I can't deny that's the day I want to be there. But I have them on a lot. I don't necessarily watch that many, but in terms of having them on, I would say that I sit down and watch like 20 a year. Maybe like 2 to 4 at maximum in the stadium, but that might improve as the team does. And I mean, I'm lucky to be able to go that much, to be honest with you. So I'm not suggesting that that's not a lot. Believe you me. And then I probably have, like, you know, in the corner of my eye, I can see like 60 out of the 82 games. And who knows, maybe even, maybe there will be some extra playoff games this year. But that's hockey talk. We don't need to get too far into the hockey talk. It's just what I had going on last night. Deal with the devil. I forgot we were actually, well, that's not that helpful. That's okay. 1 damage upgrade. It's, you know, a very spicy situation here. You do not want to take Mom's Knife because Mom's Knife soy milk is pretty terrible. So instead we'll just move on, and there's still a big question mark in this run in a way that I think is very good. Yeah, apart from that, everything's going a-okay. Everything's fine. Good night's rest. I know it's a good night's rest because I fell asleep watching Better Call Saul Season 4, Episode 3, and I woke up 8 hours later to it being like, did you enjoy the show? Would you like to watch it again? And I went, oh, I've sleep spoiled. I've spoiled in my sleep. I wonder if Netflix has like a sleep timer. I will say, I've talked about this before. I have positives and negatives, okay? So I got a new phone in November. It was a phone that only allows Bluetooth headphones. It doesn't have a headphone jack. I have been a lifelong proponent of the headphone jack. It's not about the cost of Bluetooth headphones. It's about the fact that I never wanted my phone to run out of battery. Or I never wanted my headphones to run out of batteries. I think that's too spicy. I'll say it. I'm not afraid who's listening. I think it's too spicy. Don't try this pill yet. Just wait till the end of the room. You can be patient on this one. And definitely, I would say, like, the first few months of my Bluetooth headphone experience is definitely... Come on. Come on. It's rife with a lot of, like... Uh-oh, I want to go to bed, but, you know, none of my headphones are charged, so I have to sleep in silence like it's the Middle Ages. A lot of people don't sleep with, like, noise on, so I understand. A lot of people do sleep with noise on, you know? Parents, grandparents sleep with the TV on, etc., etc. But I've gotten into a rhythm with it now, which is nice, and I sleep with the Bluetooth headphones in, and I've come to appreciate that it is nice to not strangle yourself with the cord in the middle of the night, or alternatively, roll over and, you know, pull the cord out of the headphone jack, etc., etc. It's positives and negatives. I will say, though, sometimes, you know, I used to bring up on stream that I would, you know, sleep with, like, wired headphones in. People were like, aren't you worried about being strangled to death? Next time you watch a video of mine, look at my neck and the width of my neck in comparison to the strength of the average headphone cord. And you tell me if you would be worried about being strangled in your sleep. By an intruder, perhaps. By the... Oh, by this little headphone jack? I don't think so. Or little headphone cord? I don't think so. I'm not saying it couldn't cause some discomfort. But... You know how people say, like, you know, oh, you could drown in just, like, a couple of inches of water? I don't know if that applies for headphone jacks. You know, it's like, could somebody strangle you with a piece of dental floss? Maybe, but I feel like if I flexed my neck, I could create the space to breathe, if not outright rip the floss in the first place. Anyway. Just things that are on your mind while you watch true crime documentaries. Chill, lo-fi murders to sleep to. Can you just... Like, I'm not sore about the deal with the devil on this floor, which is still like a 1 in 5 shot almost. But I would very much like to pick up a damage improvement. 0.5 damage plus 2020 is honestly fine. It's doing numbers for us. However, I would very much also enjoy... I mean, I hate to say it because it's going to sound very, you know, whiny. You could double it and I wouldn't complain. This is going to take forever. Did I not? I thought I killed the guy up there. Okay, so here's what you do. Kick some bombs in. Kick some bombs in. I'm unconcerned about using all of our bombs here. We gotta do what we gotta do. Please, God. The only axis on which we can improve our damage is via the damage stat itself. So, excuse me, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I used telepathy, so I'm a little surprised that I got hit there. Just throwing that out there. Explosive diarrhea. We did get HP. I respect that. I'm very thankful for that because we're gonna need some of that to survive, of course. I think that not very smart, not very bright. Things are getting very, very touchy here. And telepathy, yikes, brother. Telepathy will not save us. The only thing that can save us is us. Yeah, get on the spikes. Come on. Come on. It's kind of merciless. You're telling me Sinvicta's won 700 of these in a row? That's madness. Sir, just, you've been hit with 300 million bullets. Perish. I beg you. If it wasn't for the knockback, this would be like a dream come true. I didn't even see Tiny Gish in there. You know what would really sell me on this run right now? Piercing shots. I think we would be living in a fantasy land. Sorry, no banter today, folks. We are 100% focused. I think we wanna... I mean, Bookworm is nice, don't get me wrong. I think we want to stick with... Yo, let's go. Book of Sin. Although, no, to be honest, Book of Belial, for relevant rooms, is probably the gas for us, right? It's so imperative that we kill this spawner ASAP. Yeah, maybe Book of Belial is the real choice. Like Book of Sin, sure. You know, Spirit Hearts, keys, bombs, whatever. You know, runes even. And we should really use our Yara rune to probably like double the next Spirit Heart we see or something. Just get it out of our inventory with some kind of useful application. But I think Book of Belial is our path here. Can I tell you? I like a run that stretches your brain a little bit. Basically, this doubles our damage. Now, we're not doing so well financially. However, if we can get to the point where we can actually buy something from the shops, maybe we could even use it like once every 2 rooms. We could get to the point where we're using it once every room, but it's a bit of a long shot. So I'm just gonna level with you. I have no idea what stem cells does. Really? I think we regen HP occasionally. But I'm not willing to go with Liberty Cap in case we get Skinny Odd Mushroom. Which is just gonna... It's gonna be a problem. So we have a 50% repeating, of course, chance of a deal with the devil. What are we looking for? Any form of piercing shot. 2 guppy items would also generate a plethora of flies, as long as we're using our SAT words. But in order to do this, and I think we've gotten one of the best chances plausible with this boss, we gotta not take damage. Luckily, I don't know, this is the only time in my Isaac career the knockback has actually been useful for us. I'm so happy to see it. Okay. I don't know, maybe we could say Fish Head is worth something. Well, this is an interesting bucket of worms, isn't it? I feel like you have to take something like Maw of the Void. That's a really tough decision, just to be honest. And we could be killed so easily right now. But, fair to say, by the way, this probably isn't the room you want to see immediately after said situation. I'm not very happy, to be honest with you. Not very happy. I was having a fun time. I'm gonna throw it in Azazel rundown. I can feel the emotions percolating in my body right now. To lose that one is annoying. I'm not mad at Isaac. Like, I think, are there things we could have done? Yeah, like, I hate to admit it, because the mistake is so fresh. We could literally have just not taken any of those deals with the devil, which is, in hindsight, it's very, I mean, everyone says hindsight is 20/20. Of course, you know, it's one of my favorite idioms, and I am not shy about idioms that I think are very stupid, right? So I think that it's important to point out the other ones. However, hindsight is 20/20 is like an antiquated and polite way to say that. There should be a new idiom that's like, you don't get any prizes for, you know, solving the mystery after it's already been solved. Everybody can illuminate obvious mistakes when the dust has already settled. If we kill 6 of those enemies and get 6 demon hearts all of a sudden, was it a mistake to take Maw of the Void? Probably not. But I will say, should we have taken Maw of the Void? Obviously, in hindsight, no. Next time we have that decision, are we going to take Maw of the Void? Probably yes. Probably yes. Ooh. See, you know, that would be really good on a run with soy milk. Just putting that out there. I'm not actually... I'm getting over it. I'm not that sore anymore. But briefly, yes, I was sore. I love using the term sore. People might look at it and be like, that's a very antiquated way of saying you're upset or angry. It is, but you know what else was an antiquated way of saying so? Oh, we really should have just blown up a tinted rock. Was an antiquated way of saying, you know, you were feeling an emotion? Salty. Salty back in like 2012, 2013 was exclusively used in the fighting game community. And by like people cosplaying as 1930s like dock workers and sailors. Now salty is part of the vernacular. In fact, salty might have come around so far that it's become like antiquated again. Now people don't call me salty, they say I'm malding or malding. I'm not malding, I'm mald. Mad plus bald. I don't know, I try not to keep up on Twitch culture. The more of Twitch culture that I can remain ignorant of, I think the better it is for both the product that I produce and also my mental state. That's painful. That hurts. But everything's still very, very hunky-dory. What's my dream? And I love coming up with these, you know, how do we get out of the straitjacket situations here on runs like this. The dream is actually, at this point, especially now, actually, this makes it even better. The dream is to get Dark Judas. If we can get Dark Judas, die, respawn, we will have double damage, bone, static, electric tiers. Now, Dark Judas is kind of the easy one. What if we get Blue Baby? I don't know about that one. I think we would still respawn, to be honest. I think we've hit the point on this run, and it's super early for this to happen, but I think we've hit the point on this run where being Azazel is almost an inhibitor to our ability to succeed, but regardless, we're moving on. Can I tell you, we have an extreme first world problem happening in our household right now. You may have noticed we get a lot of deliveries. I've explained many, many times over and over. It's not like we order, like, you know, one little thing and then it shows up, and then we order one little thing and it shows up. We're not getting like 4 DoorDash deliveries a day, right? We have like regular subscriptions on Amazon for a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, can't take anything there. So it'll be like, hey, here's cat food and, you know, toothpaste and laundry detergent and blah blah and blah blah and blah blah and blah blah. And you might not believe me when I say this. We don't get a lot of deliveries every day. It's really... like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this to not sound ridiculous. It's mostly that when we do get deliveries, every single one of them is during the working hours. You know what I mean? If I streamed from midnight to 8 a.m., you would think that we never get deliveries. Maybe that's obvious. This is a very good item for us, or trinket, by the way. But regardless, here's our first world problem, okay? So we feed our cats, you know, wet cat food. We buy the cat food online because it's cheaper. I mean, why does anyone buy anything online, basically? We buy it online because it's cheaper. But we've actually hit a situation. I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, I've ever experienced this from a business standpoint. The business we're ordering from is treating us too well, and I want to cancel our service. How does that happen? Let me explain. We order, you know, we have 2 cats. We give them a can of wet food every day. So, you know, that's 30 cans of wet food per month per cat. So we get, you know, I think we ordered 2 packages of 36 cans, so we have a mild surplus, but, you know, it's the hot dog bun problem, you know what I mean? regardless. That's not a big deal. What is a big deal is that when the cans arrive, they send us, you know, like 72 cans, which is what we ordered. Nothing wrong with that. But then, on both of the last 2 orders, they have also thrown in... And I remember, please, that at the start of this, I called this a first world problem. They've also thrown in 36 to 100 free samples, which are basically just a single serving of the exact same wet food. So what, and you might say, like, what's the problem? Here's what the problem is. First off, this has happened for 2 months in a row. So not only do we have too much wet food now by design, but we also have like 130 single-serve free sample packages. Now, what's the next problem? We have 2 cats. So, at the best of times, it would take us, you know, 65 days times 2 cats of them getting these free samples every single day in order to exhaust the ones that we have. The other thing is they go bad like the 2nd of April, which is only like 40 days away. So it's a very nice thing to do, to send so many samples, but they've basically just sent us like a staggering amount of perishable food. And we also, like, we moved to a bigger place, but we don't live in like a, you know, 5,000 square foot, hey, why don't we just throw that in our storage area downstairs sort of situation, you know? It's not really a city that's built like that to begin with, to be honest. So I was losing my mind last night. First off, I was like, why is this box so heavy? There's only supposed to be like 70 cans of cat food in it. Which is still kind of a lot. I can't deny that, but, you know, that's just honest. But then I started pulling out free samples, and I pulled out like 24, 2 packs of 12, and Kate was like, that's gotta be it. I just looked at her, I looked at the box was like 80% full of free samples. I just kept pulling them out. So I don't know what to do with it. Basically, they sent us some garbage. And I feel bad because on the free samples, they used a Sharpie and put a smiley face. Like, see, you know, we appreciate your business so much. We've gone the extra mile. And I'm like, well, yeah, but now I gotta buy garbage bags in bulk. We don't even want that, unfortunately. I wish we did, but we don't. So I'm really, like, to be honest, I'm a little torn. I guess what I should do is email the business and be like, it sounds weird. I would honestly rather get 0 free samples. Or alternatively, maybe we could have our order and you could give us the same amount of free samples? I know that doesn't seem fair, but it's like, you know, when you order the amount of food you need precisely, they send you 1.5 times as much. I don't really want to just, like, you know, feed it to our cats because they'll get, you know, overweight and maybe have health concerns. So I don't know. It's almost a situation where it's like, you know, your business is treating us too well. I think that was like the way that we framed it, but also simultaneously, I'm like, it's literally true. Also, I'm like, did you ship this? Like, didn't you pay through the nose for shipping? Look, I told you it was a first world problem. Our bougie wet food is sending us too many free samples. But, like, I was annoyed last night. Because basically, you know, you get this cardboard box. You crack it open. Inside of the cardboard box is what you ordered and then a bunch of stuff you don't want at all. Having more stuff, I don't consider it a virtue. I consider it a negative. Because I don't think about, like, oh, look at all this stuff. What could we do with it? I look at it and I go, oh, I'm going to be tripping over this for weeks. And then, you know, the second week of April, I'm going to look at the expiration date and throw it out. But we're working it out, okay? I don't need solutions necessarily. It's just a comical situation. I've never dealt with it before. Anytime I've dealt, it's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. Like Larry David has to call him up and go, let me get this straight. You want less free samples? What kind of a person wants less free samples? He's like, if I wanted them, I would. I like a free sample. 1 free sample, 2 free samples. 96 free samples. And then, like, the online business is, like, owned by his ex-wife's friend. So it's all sorts of, like, complications involved. And then at the end, you know, like, it turns out They go to a storage locker, like Storage Wars sort of thing, and they open it up, and there's, you know, 5,000 free samples of cat food, and they're look, it needs some punching up. Might I remind you, they came up with, or I came up with this story in approximately, I don't know, 15 seconds. I've always wondered what it's like to be a writer on a comedy show. Like, do you sit in a room with your colleagues and perhaps even, you know, your friends, and you just sort of play what about, you know what I mean? Like, you come up with a concept. What if there was a vegan deli that got protested by carnivores? You know, wouldn't that flip the script? And then they start just... Is that how it works? I don't know. I'm not really expecting anybody watching this to have any insight, unless you've watched... Maybe you work in the biz, maybe you got some behind-the-scenes awareness that I'm not familiar with. Either way, I'd love to know. I'd love to know. Yo, this is sick, by the way. Grab it. What are we on? Debs 2. You love to see it. Will this even work? You think this works? I don't see why it wouldn't work. But I guess we're only going to get 20 flies every time we use it, because we're not going to use it that often. That seems like a... And you know, I'm sure it's not all sunshine and roses. But it seems like a really cool job. Just hang out with your friends and come up with funny scenarios. People say streaming is it sounds like a fun job as well. And you know what? They're absolutely right. A lot of people lose sight of it, I think. But yeah, every day I'm like, yeah, this is a great job. You're right. Sounds like you play... I don't know. I always laugh. Other streamers are like, what my viewers think I do versus what I really do. And then it shows them like, you know... Okay, they stream, but then instead of like logging onto World of Warcraft, they bust out a spreadsheet and then they start like editing clips and stuff like that. And I'm like, first off, I admire the humor, the good humor present in this. However, I'm also like, yeah, but like, it's still pretty sweet, you know? It's not like you turn off the stream and then you're like, you know, time to go sell plasma. Still a pretty cushy gig in the whole scheme of things, depending on your position and level of, you know, success. Anyway, I'm just saying, there's things to like and things to dislike about every job. I'm sure if you're like, you know, the chocolate taste tester for Hershey, okay, we shouldn't use Hershey because there's a circle jerk about how it tastes like vomit because it uses like sour milk or something like that. However, let's say you're the chocolate taster for Lindt. No flies. I'm sure people are like, you know, hey, that sounds like a great job. You're like, yeah, it's a good job. I get to eat my favorite food all day. But on the other hand, there's bad stuff. Not all the chocolate is 10 out of 10. I don't really like hazelnuts. Last year, hazelnuts were up 15%. Oh, I gotta tell you, it was rough. Anyway, you know, this is one of those traps I have to avoid falling into, or I will just talk about it ad nauseum. Or as I like to call it, Brad Pitt's new science fiction film. Actually, I didn't dislike Ad Astra that much. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. But I didn't dislike it as much as some people. I did not like it as much as critics tended to like it, I'll tell you that much. And this is where we're at. I haven't seen a movie in so long that I've got to talk about movies that I watched back in September. Although, I'll tell you, I did watch a movie. I was doing some editing, and also, you know, honestly, now that I make my own thumbnails, like, from scratch for every video, more or less. I mean, there's templates, but even the templates need tweaking. For pretty much every video. It takes me a lot longer to, like, get the metadata, like titles, tags, thumbnail, you know, end screen, stuff like that set up for videos. If you only watch Isaac, you got nothing to worry about in that department. This is not for you. But, so now, like, what used to take me like 10 minutes, it might take me, on a normal day, it might take me like 25. on a day where I've got like a lot of videos coming out and like, you know, some of them are completely unique, then it could take me like up to an hour, honestly. But it's an hour of like, you know, you're not fully focused. You know, you're kind of just doing like, it's almost like mindless data entry type work. So you can have something on in the other monitor. I watched Galaxy Quest, that like 1998 Star Trek sci-fi spoof starring Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver and Sam Rockwell and Tony Shalhoub and there were, I'm trying to, I love to name as many actors in it as I can. Justin Long plays a big role, a pre-Dodgeball Justin Long. Anyway, that's a very good movie. I remember watching it roughly when it came out, and I was like, this is fun. By the way, I was like 10 or 11, so, you know, I can't really take my opinion at that point as serious. Like, let me put it this way. 11-year-old me and 31-year-old me, we're after very different things in a film. 12-year-old me, I mean, I've brought this up before. Sorry, I went back on the bit to make it better. It wasn't like I was trying to hide a story from you. There's a very interesting part. If anybody else watching this, a young snob or has lived that young snob lifestyle, where, you know, I think we'll suck that up. You're like a teenager or a preteen, and you're like, I'm not like other teenagers or preteens. I like real arty movies. If you've gone through that, there's a really interesting like inflection point where you still have kind of the tastes of a child, but also have read the tastes of film critics or music critics or whatever online. So you have this weird like bipolar list of your favorite media ever made. This is where you get people that are like, my 2 favorite albums of all time, obviously is Radiohead, In Rainbows, and then also Taylor Swift's 1989, right? Not to say that you can only like Taylor Swift if you're a child. I should have flipped it. Not to say that you can only like Radiohead if you're a child. But anyway. Definitely in like 2004, I was like, my 2 favorite movies of all time, that's easy. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey with a rare dramatic turn. Kate Winslet as a manic pixie dream girl before we even knew what that was. Charlie Kaufman's inventive writing, Michel Gondry's inventive directing, and a beautiful score and soundtrack from John Bryan, who you may also know for doing the scoring for Kanye West's album, Late Registration. Second favorite movie, Spider-Man 1. I like when he shoot web. The love story between Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson affects me to my core. Not to make fun of that, but anyway. It's always interesting to me. That period where like now, I have... Don't take this the wrong way. This could be taken out of context to be like, you know, your opinions can't be trusted until you're an old fogey like me. No, it's more like, you know, when you are younger, and this probably holds true to some extent when you're older as well, but a little different. Let me make it more personal. When I was younger, I didn't necessarily know what I liked in media. I think we do want this. I think we'll suck up everything else for sport. So, you have to rely on the opinions of other people to some extent, right? Like, how do you know a movie is good or not if you want to be someone who likes quote-unquote good movies and you're 15 years old? You have to read other critics' stuff, right? You're not going to watch Fellini's 8.5 as a 15-year-old and be like, oh, I totally understand the meditations on, you know, death and aging in a career where, you know, youth is prized and, you know, blah, 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 right? So you have to kind of, like, smuggle your opinions in secondhand. Now that I'm older, I know what I like and I dislike. You know, if I'm 16 and I'm reading a review of a movie that I didn't like and the review says it's a masterpiece, I was like, there's something wrong with me. Everybody seems to love, you know, The Departed, and I don't like it at all. That's not a real example, by the way, because I love The Departed. Who doesn't? Now that I'm older, I'm a little bit more like, hey, look at that. I'm a little bit more confident and I'm comfortable in my skin, right? So, you know, with something like Ad Astra, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I totally get why this is a critical darling. And at the same time, I'm like, a little bit boring. A little bit boring. Boring as sin, really. I thought it was kind of interesting, though. And, like, lots of visually striking stuff in that movie. But definitely extraordinarily arty. I can still remember, though, like, the first movie that I was like, when I watched it, I was like, first off, this is like a grown-up, serious movie, and I love it, and I totally get it, was Adaptation. If you haven't seen 2003's Adaptation, starring Nicolas Cage and Nicolas Cage as twin brothers, who are also the writer of the screenplay, it's a little confusing, but you'll get it. You should find an opportunity to watch that movie. People don't talk about it that much, but it's still well liked, I think. But it's so good. Anyway, that was the first one. I remember I was in like 8th grade. I might have been in 9th grade. And when I watched that, I watched it with my parents. We bought it on pay-per-view. And, ooh, I remember my parents were like, it's okay. And, you know, I was like, yeah, it's okay. But then when I, like, was left to my own devices, I was like, I gotta get online and read up everything about this movie. It was not okay. It's the greatest movie ever made. Well, that and Spider-Man 1, of course. Okay, we've redeemed ourselves slightly, I hope. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!